Okay, hi everyone. I just want to thank you all for coming. I know that this is a very odd, awkward time to come out during this COVID. My name's Mary. I'm just a citizen who wanted to know who's running. I'm going to try and make this brief. We have 2 seats open for City Council. Jan Walczak, who is also running for re-election, and then Tom Sonic has stepped down after 4 years, but I want to thank them both for their dedication and their service. We had 8 people originally sign up to run, and I'll be introducing them, some of them shortly. John Wall has respectfully decided to not run, but his name will still be on the ballot, only because he didn't make that decision in time to get it off. Jan Walczak, Lisa Wong, and Laura Greenlee Carp are still proudly running in the race. However, because of the current pandemic, they decided not to come tonight. Lisa is going to attempt to send a link to a video that this SCC people will put onto this after it's over, so that will be aired. No one else really had an interest in doing that video thing. We're not going to be taking questions during the broadcast, but after we adjourn from the meeting, you can feel free to approach the candidates. I did put their contact information all back there, as well as when the air times for the reruns of this will show. I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate the Legion for giving us the hall again. And with that said, I'm just going to introduce you to Steven Anderson, who is running for City Council.
Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to thank the American Legion for hosting this event. Without this, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for any of us candidates to get our message out and help you, the voters, make an educated decision as to who should be on your city council for the next 4 years. I'd also like to thank Mary, who you've just heard, for organizing this event. She's done it a couple of times, and again, without her and the Legion, I guess I'm not sure how you would get the information that you really need. As Mary indicated, my name is Steve Anderson, and I'm running for North St. Paul City Council. Excuse me as I adjust my glasses. I was born and raised in North St. Paul. I attended Harmony Elementary School, which is just on the border of North St. Paul and Maplewood. And after that, as all the students that went to Harmony and several other schools, I went to John Glenn. I attended North St. Paul High School, where I played soccer in grades 10 through 12, was elected to the National Honor Society in my junior year. I was elected to what we called then student staff, what you may know as student council. Student staff was rather unique because we had teachers and department individuals come in and we tried to solve school problems as opposed to just individual problems that the students see going on day to day to make their high school better. I did not miss a single day of grade school, high school, middle school after the 4th grade. And the reason for that is that I was very dedicated and enjoyed school. I can certainly understand the kids these days that are going through COVID and miss their friends. That was a big reason why I chose not to miss school. It wasn't even, Mom, I didn't get my homework done, I better stay in bed today. I graduated from high school early in 1979. Half the year was over and I had all my requirements, so I graduated early, but I didn't just sit back and rest on my education laurels at that point. I'll explain that in a second. While in high school, I worked at Target in North St. Paul for several years to earn money for college. Immediately after graduating early from North St. Paul High School, I attended Lakewood Community College, what we all know now as Century College, where I attained my Associate Liberal Arts degree. That's a 2-year degree. Once I graduated from there, I attended the University of Minnesota, and I graduated from the U of M in 1983 with a liberal arts degree, majoring in political science. I then went to Southwest State. I had already earned my college degree, but I went to Southwest State because my ultimate goal at that point was to attend law school. So I did major in pre-law at Southwest, which is in Marshall, Minnesota. After about a year and a half at Southwest State, I was accepted to Hamlin Law School, which some of you may know is in St. Paul. They have since merged with William Mitchell, and I think they're called Mitchell Hamlin now. I began my classes at Hamlin Law School in 1985. While in school, at the law school, I was named a coach to the moot court team. Moot court is students pretending, if you will, to be attorneys and defendants and plaintiffs. I also coached once I was in private practice, I coached moot court at the high school as well for several years and found that to be very exciting for the kids. While attending Hamlin Law School, I was given what's called the AMJUR Award in juvenile law. AMJUR is just short for American Jurisprudence, and it's given to the top student in a particular class. 2 minutes. After graduating from law school, I did some pro bono work. I did quite a few, I did a couple law clerking, both for juvenile law in Hennepin County and juvenile law in Cambridge, Minnesota. That's St. County. And the extent of my legal profession, I started out as a prosecutor. I went into private practice as an associate, and then eventually I was in the state public defender's office where I did juvenile law, some misdemeanor work, and a couple felony courses. I do a lot of volunteer work, some of it legal, helping people in a pro bono way. Pro bono means I take them on without cost because they can't afford it. And I also am a participant in an organization called Little Brothers and Friends of the Elderly. They are an organization that helps, I wouldn't say help as much as visit shut-ins, especially around the holidays, so that they've got some sense of community, and hopefully we take away their loneliness. I told myself long ago that when I retired from the law practice, which I did a few years ago, that my goal was to remain busy and serve on the North St. Paul City Council. It's not that I think that our city is going in the wrong direction, not by any stretch, but based on my education, my experience, I believe that I can add a great deal to the future objectives of our community. And for this reason, I hope you will consider me, Steve Anderson, when you cast your vote for North St. Paul City Council. Thank you.
We have about 4 seconds left. That was great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Stephen Anderson. Your next candidate is going to be Tim Cole.
Well, I also want to thank the American Legion and thank Mary for everything she's done to pull this together. As she said, my name's Tim Cole. I'm running for North St. Paul City Council. I want to bring a fresh face and a fresh future to North St. Paul. A little bit of background about me. I'm born and raised in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Graduated from Augustana College with degrees in both business administration and economics. I met my wife, Kelly, while I was in school. After graduating, we moved to St. Paul, where we both started our professional lives. We've had the opportunity to live in several cities across the United States before returning back to Minnesota in 1996. We've been 23-year residents of North St. Paul. I chuckle. I hear you completely. You were born and raised in North St. Paul. I'm still the new guy in a lot of the neighborhoods I've walked into. Oh, you've only been here 23 years. Well, I'm second generation or third generation. So that's a huge, strong heritage for North St. Paul, and it says a lot for the community that we live in. We chose North St. Paul because we love the small town value, the small town feel. We have 2 boys, both went to St. Peter's and both graduated from North High. I've been active in North St. Paul community. I currently sit as a commissioner on the North St. Paul Park and Rec Commission, a former vice president of North St. Paul Area Hockey Association, former member of North St. Paul Athletic Association, coached a variety of sports including hockey, football, softball, and baseball, and I remained active in North St. Paul sports until both my boys graduated. In my professional life, I am a strategic sales leadership professional, a small business owner, and a volunteer. My professional life has taught me the ability to be an active listener and collaborator to find common ground. I have negotiated agreements with the country's largest retailers. These negotiation skills provide me a strong balance for the City Council. Being a small business owner has taught me budgetary skills. Spending and addressing the needs, not necessarily the wants, to keep a budget balanced. This skill will help keep the city's spending in check. I also give back through being a volunteer. I'm a member of the St. Paul Vulcans Winter Carnival. I have helped raise money for several notable charities, as well as I'm a volunteer and fundraiser for Metro Deaf School in St. Paul. 3 areas that I look to improve during my term: economic development, both commercial and residential, being community focused, as well as consistency in communication and transparency. Economic development, both commercial and residential. The growing tax base is vital to keeping North St. Paul property taxes low and stop large tax levy increases, while still allowing us to improve city services. It's my vision that we collaboratively work together to expand the city's tax base by taking advantage of the opportunities we have with vacant property that the city owns and private property that also remains undeveloped. Together, we can attract new businesses, restaurants, and continue the development of our downtown. To take a little bit deeper look into the economics, North St. Paul property taxes have a smaller percentage of that property tax go to the city than the 7-county metro and the state average. Conversely, North St. Paul property taxes has a higher percentage of our funding goes to support our schools than the 7 metro counties, as well as the state. So basically what that says is, well, we look at taxes, we have a smaller tax base that comes to us. We need to figure out a way to better balance that out. And we need to increase our commercial tax base as well. We have a smaller commercial tax base than the communities that are around us. By increasing the commercial tax base reduces the personal tax burdens that we have on ourselves. In the next 2 years, North St. Paul is going to have 350 new families move in. That's huge. That's huge development for North St. Paul. But it can't stop there. What are we doing from an economic development to, once they're here, keep them here? What are we doing to bring businesses, restaurants? Do we need a general store downtown? Do we need bakeries? What are we doing once the residents move in to keep them in North St. Paul and keep their spending habits in North St. Paul as well? We need to take a look at what we're doing there. Another example of property is the Lilly News Building. Unfortunately, it sits basically vacant. It's a big chunk of property on our main street. What are we planning to do with the city on that? What are we going to do to help develop that area to keep the economy thriving and to keep business thriving? Same with our community center. We have the same can be said about that. Being community focused. North St. Paul offers affordable housing. It's critical that we look to the future to establish North St. Paul as a highly sought after community that is attractive to young couples and families. To accomplish this, I want to focus on parks, crime rate, code enforcement, and holding the public schools to be the best in class. Building on that, the backbone of a strong community is the safety and health of the residents, families, and children. I will continue to demonstrate my commitment to improve the health and happiness of the community through just this ever-changing times that we currently live in. I also want to work alongside the city police and fire department to make sure we're best in practice and we have available for a safe community. And lastly, the consistency in communication and transparency. I want to lead by listening to you first. I want to hold quarterly meetings for all to attend, providing an environment where questions and concerns can be openly asked and immediately addressed. I believe my results-oriented approach to leadership, paired with my respect for each of the members of our community, will prove to be a differentiator in the ability to lead North St. Paul. I'm asking for your support and your vote on November 3rd. I'm available afterwards to talk to. Anybody wants to host a yard sign, I'm here. I can also be reached at votetimcole@gmail.com, Facebook, Cole for City Council, and my website is www.votetimcole.com. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Tim. That was Tim Cole, everyone. Now I'd like to introduce you to Artie Alvarez. Arthur, but we call him Artie.
Thank you. Well, that's going to be a hard one to follow, Tim. That was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Mary, for lining this up and your work doing that, and to the Legion here. I don't have a very big speech ready for you. I'm not 23 years. I'm very new to North St. Paul. We bought here in 2014. Bought an abandoned building for the most part in foreclosure, and have decided that we love it here. I was born in a very large city, a little town called Chicago, and when I was very small, my parents moved us to very far north Wisconsin, a town of about 400 people, and that's where I grew up. And when I was looking for a new place to live and I found North St. Paul, I felt like I landed at home. It felt just like the little town I grew up in, had the main street, and I loved it, and that's why we came here. And so even though I'm very new to North St. Paul, very much enjoy it here, very much love being a part of it, and that's why I ran. I don't have a big agenda or platform. Someone was asking me the other day, well, you're gonna go for a political position, what's your platform? When I think of the word platform, I think of a lot of the things right now that are kind of dividing us as a country. And so I feel that for this level of government, that I don't necessarily bring those to this. I'm voting different levels for those sort of agendas. I feel that for the city council, there's basically three things I'm gonna have to be concerned with if I get on there. There's an amount of good in the world that we can do, and we can't do all of it, not even close. And so I want to try to do the most of that good that we can possibly do. And then we have our people. We're not a great big town, 11,400 something, but even in that small amount, we have people with very divergent views, very opposite views sometimes. And so we're not going to be able to please everybody, but we want to try to please the most we can. We want to do the most good we can for the most people we can. And then we have our resources. We don't have unlimited resources. So I have been in a small business for the last 20 years. I grew up in a small business in that little northern town. So most of my life, I've had to make all those sorts of decisions individually for a small business to keep it going. So I have lots of years of small business under my belt. When you have to do all those things yourself, you learn how to be resourceful. You learn how to look for value. Price rarely, hardly ever equals value. So we have to look for value on those things. So as I look at possibly being able to serve for city council, my goals are to say, what are the most good we can possibly do, knowing we can't do it all, for the most people, we know we can't please them all, and how can we do it for the best value and bring the most value to this? I know the city has a very limited budget and a lot of hard decisions. I've been making those hard decisions for a long time in my own personal business, and why I'm running for city council is that I love being here. I love being a part of this little town. I love being able to go downtown and recognize people. People talk to you. It's a great place to be. I love being able to raise my daughter here. And I wanted to bring my skill sets. I am very good at looking at problems and finding solutions. And that's why I wanted to be part of the city council. I had no idea, to be honest with you, when I first lined up, there'd be this much of a race. And I think that it seems like we have some fantastic candidates, and I'm excited to see what happens for it. But I'm Artie Alvarez, and I'd appreciate it if you'd vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Artie. That was Artie Alvarez. And our final candidate that is here tonight is Jason Nordby.
Hello. I'd also like to thank Mary and the Legion for hosting us here, and thank all of you for coming out so you can make an informed, intelligent decision about what every citizen needs to do is, importantly, cast your vote this season. I'm 45 years old. I've lived in North St. Paul a little over 9 years now. I love this town. My goal, 15, 20 years from now, is to retire. I want to retire right here in North St. Paul. I believe I have a responsibility as a citizen here to help do everything I can to make this a town that we all want to live in, that we all want to retire in. I grew up just down the road in White Bear Lake, so I haven't moved too far from my roots, and have about 5 family members that have bricks that lived in North St. Paul that have bricks in the Veterans Memorial Park. I believe as a city council member, we have 3 main goals for our city: safety, affordability, and fun. That's my platform: safety, affordability, and fun. No matter what the city has to offer, if it's not safe, you can't enjoy it. I have the honor of having 2 nephews that serve in local police forces. I hear them at all their family gatherings, you know, how a city council can really help support and make their jobs easier and help them do their jobs. As a city council and as a city, we have a responsibility to everyone that helps make our town safe. To the police, to the firemen, to the EMTs. We need to offer them the best training that we can buy with our money and ensure that they can do their job properly and that they too will return to their homes and families safely every night. Everybody deserves safety. Our car shows aren't going to be successful without the safety. The Gateway Trail, that's not going to be popular if people don't feel safe walking down that Gateway Trail. So that's a big, big concern of mine, is we need to do everything we can to keep North St. Paul safe and friendly for everybody. The second one is affordability. North St. Paul has about a $7.5 million budget. That's something I work with about 12 times on a yearly basis. So I'm very intimate on larger budgets and being able to comb through that amount of data. When you're looking at a budget that large, the amount of data presented to you is immense. One of my skill sets is I happen to work in one of Midwest's largest card rooms. This is something I do every day. So I truly believe one of the skill sets I can bring is my experience in going through budgets that large and finding out where's the fluff and where we need to reinforce it. And also, with the spending power of that, how can we maximize, like Tim said, how can we maximize that tax base to bring it in and spend more efficiently and everything? One of the tough decisions, and by no means was this an easy decision, we just had to cut 4 people from the town's payroll, or 5 people, thank you. That's not an easy decision to make. So by no means is a budget that big an easy thing to manage. So how do we manage that budget while bringing the best level of government to the citizens? Third thing is fun. No one's going to want to live in North St. Paul if it's not fun. The local boutique shops, the car show. Remember Crazy Days? Remember Fall Roundup? Our citizens now can have bees and chickens. I think that's awesome. If North St. Paul doesn't stay fun to live in, no one's going to want to live here. So we have to do things that are fair to everybody, that everybody can enjoy, and makes North St. Paul still a great place to live. One of the things that I really liked is about, I'll say a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, the city sent out a questionnaire. They asked us what we wanted as citizens. Why aren't we seeing more of that? The city really needs to focus more on getting the opinions of all the residents, not just the squeaky wheels. One of the people before me suggested a quarterly outreach program. I think that's also a great idea. The city needs to do everything they can to stay informed of what the city wants. So, in summary, safety, affordability, and fun. I believe at the city council level, those are the 3 things that every city council member has to focus on to help keep their city thriving, safe, and great. I invite all of you to learn more about me and all of our other candidates. My website is jasonrnordby.com, Nordby. I have a Facebook page. And I would recommend to you all that go online, attend events like these, see what the candidates bring to the table, see what one aligns best with your views, and make smart, intelligent decisions this November. My name is Jason R. Nordby, and I would appreciate your vote this November. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. That was Jason Nordby.
Good evening, North St. Paul. Thank you for taking the time to join me and learn a little bit about me and my vision for North St. Paul. My name is Lisa Wong, and I am running to be your North St. Paul City Council representative. I live in North St. Paul near Casey Lake with my husband, Bill, in an old farmhouse. I believe North St. Paul has been making a lot of improvements in the 5 years we've been here. However, I want to ensure that our community thrives in all aspects we deserve as residents, through meaningful community engagement, equitable access to community resources, sustainability, and advocating for an environment that nurtures healthy families. Bill and I decided to purchase our home in North St. Paul, and as a young couple, we were driven by the affordability, access to major highways, parks, a downtown that has lots of potential, and also the Gateway Trail. Moving to North St. Paul really reminded me of the small town that I grew up in, and it has a sense of home for me. We're excited about the potential here and are really proud to be a part of this community. Living in North St. Paul has many positive attributes, and like any other community, it also has its challenges. And some of these challenges have really been illuminated by COVID-19, social justice movements, unemployment, economic downturn, environmental pressures, and increasing housing costs. With a master's in public policy and public health, being a civil servant, having served our country in the United States Peace Corps, having a personal experience of growing up a child to immigrants, and being a newer family in North St. Paul, I'll bring diversity, I'll bring fresh ideas, and I'll represent the council in a way that it's currently not represented. I am prepared to strengthen the systems that support and sustain us, and to explore innovative solutions to foster a healthy community for everyone. If elected, I am committed to building opportunities for dining, entertainment, cultural celebrations, and other family activities to connect as a community and reestablish a small town feel with our existing businesses and incentivizing new small businesses to invest in our community. It's time we keep our money and resources in North St. Paul rather than diverting it into neighboring cities. And we need to ensure that by creating the appropriate environment for that, especially in our downtown. I believe in investing in our parks, recreation, and unused spaces to nurture physical and mental well-being for our residents. Our parks are one of North St. Paul's greatest assets, and it really has become a space for family barbecues and picnics, places where people can walk their pets and play sports, and of course attend the very famous Booyah. I'd like to explore additional ways in which we can expand the functions of our park for every season and every ability. I'd like to include mini parks throughout town, and these mini parks are called parklets. And one feature of them is to really increase public meeting spaces, dining spaces, and greenery to foster that social interaction and well-being. And we can do so in collaboration with the business community and the nonprofit community. I believe that walkability, bikeability, and accessibility of transportation is vital to a thriving community. It fosters a sense of community, safety, health, and economic activity. With the inclusion of any highway, particularly Highway 36, though an asset, it has also made it much more difficult to unify our community. Our community must continue to improve the road infrastructure in town to include routes for buses, sidewalks for pedestrians, and bike lanes to create a more inclusive pathway for families with their pets. People biking or walking on the Gateway Trail or in town, and folks using cars or buses to get to work. So, including alternative forms of transportation is really crucial and something we need to explore if we want to reestablish that small town feel. Since COVID-19, we've seen more Americans walking than in previous years, and we need to provide a safe way to support that activity. Our city has a Living Streets plan for longer than I have been here, and a new comprehensive plan, and it's time to really live out these plans and build on them. All of us deserve access to safe, quality, and affordable housing. Housing is more than a roof over our heads. Stable housing ensures kids stay healthy and can focus in school. I'm committed to ensuring we have a range of housing options for both renters and homeowners in North St. Paul. I believe we need to add more innovation and flexibility in our housing development process. We need more housing, we know that, and we've seen the city really respond. And we have the opportunity for future development to decide how it looks and who it serves. I believe it should serve all of us. That means building more affordable housing, building units with more bedrooms to support growing families, and building senior housing so North St. Paul residents can remain in the community after they downsize. So part of what makes these things possible is telling developers what our values are. And I think that is the key, is signaling flexibility rather than rigidity, and being more upfront about the type of development we want to see in North St. Paul. Those are necessary ingredients for successful public-private partnerships and encourage our development community to innovate. Our community can only thrive when our policies, activities, and actions benefit all of our residents and anyone who comes to North St. Paul to live, work, or play. Diversity, equity, and inclusivity are fundamental for a thriving community and fostering social connectedness, which is vital to a healthy and safe community. I'm committed to working with the community to build a more resilient North St. Paul. My education and experiences in and with communities near and far have prepared me to be an upstanding and an effective City Council representative for you here in North St. Paul. I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you, and find me at Lisa Wong for NSP.com. And I appreciate your consideration and looking forward to connecting with you should you have any questions, concerns, or clarifications that will help you make the most informed decision. Vote Lisa Wong.
Hi, I'm Laura Greenlee Carp, and I want to be elected to the North St. Paul City Council to continue to increase community engagement, advocacy, and equity in North St. Paul because I believe in the potential of our town. We are a town with rich history and many citizens who have lived here for generations. North St. Paul is changing, our diversity is growing, and many young people and families are choosing our 3-square-mile town to call home. We need leadership who understands that diversity is our strength, and the future of North St. Paul needs to involve the voices of all of its citizens. I have a demonstrated record of building community, advocacy, and making change. I want to continue building a strong, inclusive, and welcoming North St. Paul. I believe representation is important. I believe that our city council needs to represent our residents, and I can bring new and diverse perspectives to that city council with my experience. I currently work as the youth programs coordinator for North St. Paul Maplewood Oakdale School District. In that role, I have dedicated the last 4 years of my career connecting with and studying North St. Paul and its community. 23% of our population is between ages 6 and 18 years of age. In my full-time role, it is my responsibility to work tirelessly to connect with and program for that 23% of our residents. This means that I dedicate 50 hours a week to that research. I grew up in St. Cloud, Minnesota. After attending high school at St. Cloud Cathedral, I went to the University of Duluth to study psychology and experiential education. I also joined the rugby team, going on to receive the Division II All-American Award. Experiential education has been a cornerstone of my life. When I was 16, I went on my first 28-day canoe expedition on the Bloodvein River in the Northwest Territories. The following summer, I went on a 40-day expedition to the Kazan River, where we paddled Class 4 rapids in the subarctic circle. These experiences led me to spend 10 years working at Voyager Outward Bound School in both Ely and St. Paul. I became a certified wilderness first responder, and in my time with Bob's, I led 30-day expeditions for at-risk youth. When I moved to St. Paul, I became the program coordinator and worked with metro area school districts to develop leadership and outdoor education experiences for over 30 schools. I built and taught the Strive program, which was considered an exemplary program by the Susan Crown Exchange out of Chicago, and is one of the founding programs used to write the international curriculum, Preparing Youth to Thrive, Promising Practices in Social and Emotional Learning. The biggest lesson that I've learned throughout my career is that everything is better when community is involved. This is my approach to life. If you ask most people who know me, they will tell you I am driven and resilient. I am a fierce advocate, and I have an uncanny ability to bring people together and move projects forward in uncommon ways. I have a deep sense of purpose in helping silent narratives be heard. I get things done, and I do it with competence and compassion. While 73.5% of our population is white, we have a large Black, Brown, and Asian population making up 29% of North St. Paul. At least 320 new residents and families will be moving to North St. Paul in the next 1 to 2 years as construction projects conclude. My wife and 2 daughters and I moved to North St. Paul 4 years ago, and as new additions, we bring that perspective to help better the City Council to serve our residents. I'm also currently serving as the Vice Chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission, dedicating another 10 hours a month in Parks and Rec activities for our young residents. This gives me a great understanding of what our youngest residents and their grown-ups, which make up 50% of North St. Paul's population, are seeking. I have already shown that I can bring new energy and visitors to North St. Paul by creating and hosting the annual Fire and Ice Festival, the Polar Explorers program, and I co-host a national night out event at Housie Park. Each one of these programs is built to bring together community and highlight parts of the city that people may not already be utilizing. With our proximity to St. Paul, Woodbury, and Stillwater, I believe we need to do more to make North St. Paul a destination city that attracts business and increases revenue. We have to be smart about it. We have to do it in a way that makes sense for taxpayers and maintains integral jobs in our city. I have the ability to build community partnerships, the fiscal responsibility, and creative problem solving needed to tackle this problem. At the heart of North St. Paul is its citizens. We have the potential to make North St. Paul exactly what we want it to be. To do that, we need council members dedicated to community feedback, the good, the bad, the new, and the creative. I'm here to listen and take your hopes for our future and turn them into action. A vote for Laura Greenlee Carp is a vote for a strong and diverse community and responsive leadership.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this meeting. As I said, there's contact information for all of these candidates on the back table, as well as the broadcast schedule for when this will be airing and on what channels. There will be a YouTube link available probably within the next day or so that I will be posting on Facebook. The city's been kind enough to do it for me as well. So that will be posted, so watch your Facebooks, your neighborhood pages, and the city page to find the YouTube link if you don't have access to the cable. Thank you all again for coming. Thank you all for running. I think the city we've got a lot of thought to put into this vote. So thank you, good luck.